Before we begin, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt a presence? Not something you could see, but something that watched you, followed you, and lived quietly inside your thoughts? Welcome to THRYX. I am Ravan Roy. And here, we don't just tell horror stories. We explore the darkest corners of the human mind. Because the most terrifying stories are not always about ghosts or demons. They're about guilt, grief, and the memories we try to bury. Tonight's story will make you question one thing. Was it something supernatural? Or was the mind hiding the truth all along? If you're ready to step into the unknown, then don't look away. Let's begin. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom 3 weeks ago. It wasn't a sudden decision. It happened gradually, the way most things that destroy you do. First, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. Then I started bringing my laptop to the couch, telling myself I'd just work until I got tired again. Eventually, I stopped going back altogether. My apartment isn't large, a one-bedroom in a converted building downtown, the kind with exposed brick that the landlord charges extra for. I moved here 8 months ago after the divorce was finalized. Sarah kept the house. I kept the guilt. The couch faces away from the bedroom door. I tell myself that's not intentional. The first time I heard it, I was almost asleep. That space between waking and dreaming where your mind plays tricks, where you're not sure what's real. A sound like fabric dragging across hardwood. Soft. Deliberate. It stopped when I opened my eyes. I told myself it was the building settling. Old buildings make noise. Everyone knows that. But I heard it again the next night. And the night after that. Always at 3 a.m., always that same dragging sound, like someone pulling a heavy blanket across the floor. From the bedroom to the living room, getting closer. I started leaving lights on. My coworkers noticed the bags under my eyes. Insomnia, I told them, which wasn't technically a lie. My boss suggested I take some time off. "You've been through a lot," she said, her voice careful. The way people talk around grief. "Maybe you should see someone." I didn't tell her I was already seeing someone. Dr. Martinez twice a week for the past 6 months. We talked about the accident, about Sarah, about guilt and how it metastasizes in your chest like a living thing. But I didn't tell her about the sounds. I didn't tell her about the cold spot in the hallway between the bedroom and bathroom. The one that appeared sometime in the last month. A pocket of air so frigid it makes your breath fog, even though it's summer and my AC barely works. I didn't tell her about the dreams. In the dreams, I'm driving. It's raining. The kind of downpour that turns the highway into a river of red tail lights. Sarah's in the passenger seat, but she won't look at me. She's saying something, her lips moving, but I can't hear her over the rain hammering the windshield. I reach for her hand. She pulls away. And then I see her. In the back seat, in the rearview mirror. A small figure in a car seat. Silent and still. Emma. Our daughter. 4 years old forever. I wake up before the impact. I always wake up before the impact. The apartment started feeling different around week 2. Smaller somehow, the air thicker. I'd walk from the kitchen to the living room and feel like I was moving through water, each step requiring effort I didn't have. Objects moved, small things at first. My keys would be on the counter when I swore I'd left them on the table. A coffee mug I'd placed in the sink would appear in the cupboard, clean and dry. I told myself I was forgetting. Sleep deprivation does that. But then I found Emma's stuffed rabbit on the couch. I'd packed all her things away months ago. Boxes in a storage unit across town because I couldn't bear to look at them and couldn't bear to throw them away. That rabbit, the one she called Mr. Hop, should have been in a box labeled Toys in a climate-controlled unit on 5th Street. It sat on the couch cushion like it had been carefully placed there, waiting. My hands shook as I picked it up. It smelled like her. That specific combination of baby shampoo and the lavender detergent Sarah used. Impossible. The rabbit had been in storage for months. I threw it in the trash. Took the bag to the dumpster outside immediately. It was back on the couch the next morning. That's when I started drinking. Not much at first, just enough to quiet the thoughts, to make the edges of reality softer. Dr. Martinez asked if I was using alcohol to cope. I lied and said no. The sounds got worse. No longer just at 3 a.m., I'd hear them during the day now. Footsteps in the bedroom when I was in the kitchen, the creak of the bathroom door opening when I was on the couch. Once I heard humming, a child's voice, tuneless and soft, coming from behind the closed bedroom door. I didn't open it. I sat on the couch with my hands over my ears until it stopped. My neighbor knocked on my door last Tuesday. Mrs. Chen from 2B, a kind woman in her 70s who'd brought me cookies when I first moved in. "Are you all right?" she asked. "I hear you pacing at night, talking to yourself." I told her I was fine. Work stress. She didn't look convinced. "This building has a history," she said, her voice dropping. "The woman who lived in your unit before you, she left in the middle of the night. Didn't take anything with her. Just left." I asked her why. She said she couldn't stand the guilt. Mrs. Chen looked at me with eyes that saw too much. "Whatever you're carrying, you should let it go, before it's too late." I closed the door before she could say anything else. That night, I finally looked at my phone. Really looked at it. At the photos I'd been avoiding. Emma's birthday party, her gap-toothed smile covered in chocolate cake. Emma at the park, suspended in midair on the swing, laughing. Emma asleep in her car seat, her small hand clutching Mr. Hop. That photo was taken the morning of the accident. Sarah had wanted to leave earlier. I'd insisted we wait until after my conference call. "It's important," I'd said. "We can leave in an hour." We hit traffic. It was raining. Emma was crying in the back seat, tired and hungry. Sarah was angry, her silence louder than any argument. I was distracted, looking at my phone. Just for a second, the car came out of nowhere. That's what I told the police. What I told Sarah, what I told myself for months. But I knew the truth. I'd seen the red light. Some part of me registered it, that warning flash at the edge of my vision. And I'd made a choice, a split-second calculation. I can make it. We'll beat the yellow. Except it wasn't yellow anymore. The other car hit us on the passenger side. Sarah survived with a broken collarbone and 3 fractured ribs. I walked away with bruises. Emma died before the ambulance arrived. I sat on the bathroom floor at 2:47 a.m., the cold tile pressing against my back, and let myself remember. Really remember. Not the sanitized version I'd constructed for Dr. Martinez. Not the narrative where it was just an accident, just bad timing, just bad luck. The truth. That I'd killed my daughter because I was impatient. Because a conference call felt more important than her safety. Because I thought I could beat the light. The dragging sound started again. Louder now. Closer. I stood up and walked to the bedroom door. My hand hovered over the handle. Behind it, I could hear breathing, small, shallow breaths. the kind a child makes when they're trying not to cry. Emma, my voice cracked. The breathing stopped. I opened the door. The bedroom was empty, exactly as I'd left it. The bed unmade, clothes scattered on a chair, the window showing the city lights beyond. But in the window's reflection, I saw her, standing behind me, 4 years old in the pink dress she'd worn that day. Her eyes were dark and sad and looking right at me. I spun around. Nothing. Just empty space. When I looked back at the window, she was gone. I understood then. Finally. Completely. There was no ghost. There had never been a ghost. The sounds, the cold spots, the moved objects, the rabbit appearing from nowhere. My mind fracturing under the weight of what I'd done. Constructing a haunting because being haunted was easier than accepting the truth that Emma wasn't here because I'd taken her away. That Sarah left not because she stopped loving me, but because every time she looked at me, she saw our daughter's empty car seat. That I'd moved to this apartment not for a fresh start, but to punish myself, to isolate, to slowly disappear into guilt until there was nothing left. The scariest thing wasn't the ghost. It was realizing I'd been trying to conjure one, desperate for any sign that Emma still existed somewhere, somehow, that I hadn't simply erased her from the world with my carelessness. But ghosts aren't real. Dead children don't come back, and some things can't be forgiven. I packed a bag that night, called Dr. Martinez and left a message that I needed an emergency session. Called Sarah for the first time in 3 months. She didn't answer, but I left a voicemail. "I'm sorry," I said. "I'm so sorry for all of it. For her, for running, for being a coward. I don't know if she'll call back. I'm sitting in a hotel room now, watching the sun come up over the city." The sounds have stopped. The apartment is someone else's problem now. I broke the lease, paid the penalty, walked away. But I know the truth. The haunting will follow me. Not because of anything supernatural, but because guilt doesn't need a building. It doesn't need sounds in the dark or reflections in windows. It just needs memory. And I will remember her every day for the rest of my life. Not the ghost I tried to create, but the living, breathing, laughing child I failed to protect. That's the real horror. Not what might be watching from the shadows, but what watches from inside your own mind, waiting in the spaces between heartbeats, asking the same question over and over. What if you had just waited 1 more hour? I don't have an answer. I never will. Some stories end, but their echoes stay with us. If this story made you uncomfortable, if it stayed in your mind a little longer than it should have, then it did exactly what it was meant to do. Because here on THRYX, we don't chase cheap fear. We explore the shadows inside the human mind. I'm Ravan Roy, and I'll be here again with another story that will make you question what is real and what your mind wants you to believe. If you don't want to miss that journey, make sure you like this video, share it with someone who enjoys dark stories, and subscribe to THRYX. Until next time, don't ignore the silence. Sometimes it's trying to tell you something.